All right, we are back. Chris Mannix, Rachel Nichols, Fox Sports, All the Smoke, Monumental Sports Network, right here on this pod every week. And we are here in studio in Los Angeles, where it was a balmy 80 degrees today, Rachel. 80 degrees in Los Angeles. Every time I think about, like, why do I live here now? I'm more of an East Coast guy. I was in Boston over the weekend where it dropped to the 40s. I come back on Monday and it's 80 degrees in mid-November.
We're about to talk about Detroit. It snowed already, I heard.
Oh, no. Yeah, like all those winters I spent in Boston where it's like January, February, you really start to rethink life choices. You know that from D.C. Like, you just wonder, like, what am I doing with my life that I am putting up with this for 2 months?
I mean, that's how I feel being on this pod with you.
This is what you're doing, though.
Yeah.
You're
what am I doing with
week
my life?
Week after week. You are here every single week.
Just sit there going, what am I doing with my life?
All right, well, there's no real way to transition onto this one, but a lot to get into on the show. The Pistons, we're going to talk about playing great basketball. I'm going to take a bit of a victory lap for being the only one out there in the top 100 rankings of player rankings who had Cade Cunningham in the top 10. It's looking pretty damn good right now, Rachel. We're talking about the Clippers. I don't know where they're going to go. The Mavericks, the Nico Harrison era could be coming to an end, and you have got some scorching hot take on Spencer Haywood that you're trying to get out. You're eager to get that out.
I'm ready.
We do have to start with some unfortunate news. Lenny Wilkens, the Hall of Famer, both as a player and as a coach, passed away this week. 15-year NBA career, 1,300 wins as an NBA head coach. For a while there, had the all-time coaching record before he was passed by Don Nelson, later passed by Greg Popovich. One of 5 men that were inducted into the Hall of Fame as both a player and a coach. So really one of the most accomplished guys that you'll ever see in the NBA. And I thought one of the most interesting things about Lenny was he accrued all those wins. He accrued a lot of losses too. He had a lot of losses on his resume. But he had those marks if you look at the teams that he coached, the only in his prime Hall of Famer that Lenny coached was Dominique Wilkins in Atlanta. Like, he had some good players, but they were back end or before their prime, bad teams that he was coaching on. The teams he coached in Atlanta with Neek, that was the only in his prime Hall of Fame player that Lenny coached. Still got to 1,300 plus wins. Just a legend in multiple cities. One in Seattle, of course, but a loss for the NBA.
Yeah, very sad. Who did he beat to win that title in Seattle?
Was it the Boston Celtics?
No, it was the Washington Bullets, baby.
Oh, it was the Washington Bullets. I was like, I don't really know. Yeah.
Yeah, they won in 78, which I'm too young to remember, and then they lost in 79. This is Washington, not Lenny, obviously, and which I'm also too young to remember. And then they've stunk pretty much ever since, which I am not too young to remember.
Yeah.
So there's that. But, they're turning things around. I like their young players right now.
Yeah.
I'm obviously biased, but I'm actually encouraged right now.
You just turned that right into a Wizards moment right there, didn't you?
I'm just saying, Lenny Wilkins is responsible for some things that made me sad.
Okay, well.
And now I'm sad he's dead because he was, look, you just rattled off a bunch of stats and accomplishments, and that's great. He's someone who was around the game a lot, overlapping with our careers. He stayed active. You saw him places. You talked to him. He was just so gracious, very interested in the younger stars in the game. We, of course, always see, some older members of the fraternity who are, kids today and when I played and all of that. And he was just not like that when I was around him. He was excited about things, loved Shaquille O'Neal, and, was just a real statesman for the NBA, and he'll be very missed.
Yeah, a Hall of Famer as a player. And when I call Lenny Wilkins slight, I mean slight. He was 6'0", 170 pounds of nothing in his playing days. He was, I don't even think he could dunk. Like, he was a not your typical NBA athlete. Still carved out a 15-year career. Great coach, great man. Definitely will be missed. All right, let's start by talking about the Detroit Pistons, who I think are one of the best stories in the NBA right now. They are, as we record this, 8-2 on the season, very easily. I mean, they had a little bit of a rocky start to start the year, but they've been on a run as of late. Some of the things that stick out to me about Detroit, they are relentless when it comes to points in the paint. They're averaging about 60 points per game in the paint, around 300 points total paint touches on the season. Against Brooklyn last week, they had 80 points in the paint. Now, that may be more of a referendum on the Nets
I was gonna
than
say.
it is on the Pistons, but that's a huge number. Jalen Duren is having a fantastic year. Cade Cunningham, who I just mentioned, these are two guys averaging like 13, 14 points in the paint per game for this team. They're just a relentless bunch. A great defensive team, top 3 in the NBA defensively, and looking very much like a team that can win the Eastern Conference. What do you think of the way Detroit's playing right now? Has any of it surprised you? And do you think it's sustainable over a long period of time?
I certainly think it could be. We saw what a big leap they took last year. I think they could take an equally big leap this year to put themselves in that top of the conference conversation. Cade Cunningham was the #1 overall draft pick for a reason, right? I mean, this is a guy who we expected a lot of, and he has delivered. He had the same learning curve everyone else does, at least everyone not named Victor Wembanyama, but he has absolutely delivered. He's a hard worker. We've talked about this last season even when they were making their first big leap there. Players on that team love him. They love him because of his sort of locker room presence. They love him on the court and how much he is clearly interested in having them succeed. I've had player after player in that locker room tell me, no, he's gone to coach and said, hey, give him a little bit more of this, or I'll take a couple less minutes here or there, or this kind of thing, because he wants the guys on his team to do well. And you mentioned Jalen Duren. He has obviously been the hugest beneficiary of all of that this year. He and Cade, pick and roll. I mean, it has been really just tremendous to see Jalen's growth, and I attribute at least some of that to Cade Cunningham. That's just... You need to have a leader who will do both, as they say, who can himself take over a game and also who can empower the teammates. You mentioned the beginning of the season. I think you heard Cunningham say, I didn't really expect the double teams to come quite this way and from quite so far off the court. And he said, I'll do better. I'll figure that out. And he absolutely has delivered on that. There's no question.
All right, I'm going to take this moment to look right into the camera.
Do it.
And to tell all the people on social media and in my text messages that laughed at the idea that I would have Cade Cunningham in the top 10 in SI's top 100. All of you, shh, quiet. Nobody's talking now. Name me more than 4 or 5 guys you would start your team with more than you would Cade Cunningham. 4 or 5 guys that are playing better than Cade Cunningham. Of course, in the West, Wembanyama, you would. Shea, you probably would. Jokic, even he's a little bit up there in age now, but you still probably would. Giannis in the East, great player. But outside of those guys, Cade Cunningham is the man. Cade Cunningham
What about Luka?
is... Luka, I'm sorry. Luka's up. I was going to bring Luka up because Cade Cunningham is the closest thing to Luka Doncic this side of Luka Doncic. Like, he plays like Luka. He gets into the paint. He's averaging like 10 assists a game. Like, he's a playmaker first and foremost.
And he's a big guy. He's physical.
Big guy. Look, that second half he played against Philadelphia, where he had a stinker in the first half. 2 points in the first half. 24 points in the second half against the 76ers. Again, that may say something about the 76ers defense. But Cade Cunningham going off in the second half, taking command of a game and helping that team win close, that is another step forward. I think you're 100% right. I think Cade, saw tough defenses last year, but coming into this year, I think it took some time, a short period of time, but it took some time for him to adjust to everybody knowing he's the #1 option, everyone knowing he's the guy on that team. Once he adjusted, it was a wrap. And that guy, back to you, camera, that guy is a top 10 player in the NBA. He was before the start of the season. He is right now. And everybody next year is going to have him right where I had him this year, inside that top 10. But it's not just Cade Cunningham. To your point there. Jalen Duren, he is an automatic 2010 almost every single night. His per 36-minute numbers are insane. Like, he's only averaging like 27 minutes a game, and he's giving you close to 2010. His per 36s are ridiculous. Another guy, by the way, betting himself in the contract negotiations. God knows what he's going to get in the offseason if he isn't a three-point shooter. He is an oak tree in the middle, rebounding, blocking shots, setting screens. He's going to be worth a ton of money. I don't think these things surprise me, but 2 things I was looking for with Detroit to start the season. One was, would their young players take another step? Like, they surprised everybody last year. I mean, how many, what was that, 30-win improvement from the year before? It was a remarkable run. Now you needed to take one more step, and I wondered that, and they have. Cade, Jalen Duren, Oscar Thompson, the lesser known Thompson maybe, but still a really good player, top defensive player, giving you like 13 points a game. He's been good for them. And the other factor in with the Pistons that I was looking for was, they made some changes with their veterans. Like they swapped out some guys.
Yeah.
And so I wondered if the chemistry they had last year with the veterans that were there would be matched with the guys that they brought in and out. But they lost Malik Beasley. They replaced him with Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson shooting better than 40% from three. Karis LeVert off the bench, 41% from three. So the veterans that they brought in and the veterans they have, Tobias Harris is not having a great shooting year, but he's still a really valuable guy, especially in the locker room, really good leader guy. Those veterans have worked as well. So I'm a believer. I mean, if they were in the West, maybe not, but they're in the East. Everybody's a player that plays like Detroit right now in the East.
And I mentioned them being physical. I mean, they've had a bunch of injuries too. I mean, to play like this and have us having this conversation is really fascinating. They lead the NBA in points in the paint. Who is it? Isaiah Stewart, right? He just got hurt? Yeah. But he's able to stretch the floor. I'm like, who was the last injury? Isaiah Stewart, as we sit here today. But there's a list. There's an injury list. And I think maybe that will start to catch up with them if they don't get some guys back soon. But the fact that they're doing it with these guys out, I think is really, really impressive. And, they have just been tough as nails, giving that Detroit energy. They're not exactly the bad boys. They're not exactly the 2004 Pistons, but they have their own toughness that you really sense. And I like this team. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, they're physical. And that begins with Jalen Duren on down. I mentioned the defense. Last year, they were right around the top 10 or 11 in defensive efficiency. Right now, they're in the top three. Opponents shooting just 42.4% against them. That's second in the NBA. So, look, their offense isn't even clicking all the way. They're kind of a middle-of-the-pack offensive team. And they probably, if they want to take another step to a championship team, they probably need one more piece.
Let's just get their pieces back. They're missing 2 starters and some rotation players. Yeah. Let's see what they have, and then by the trade deadline, we should be able to tell where we are.
Do you look at them, and now we're kind of nitpicking. Now, they're a contender in the East.
Yes.
They're not on Oklahoma City, Denver, that kind of level just yet, at least not to me. I think they're one piece away from that. Now, maybe you don't need to go get that this year, but do you think they still need that? I mean, do you think this current crop is more development can... who's going to be the guy opposite Cade Cunningham?
Who is from Detroit, who you have been trying to get traded off of his team.
I mean, I've been trying to get a lot of guys traded off their teams.
For over a year.
We're not talking about Giannis because he's not from Detroit.
Nope.
Who have I been trying to trade? Draymond? No.
Think about the Suns.
Oh, Devin Booker. Suns are playing okay, though. So I don't think... I can't see Matt Ishbia. See, the guy, Evan Turner and I talked about this last week. The guy I'm watching the closest over the next couple of months is Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
Because Lauri Markkanen's having
for a lot
great
of
year.
places. There's a lot of places where he could fit.
He fits everywhere. This is something that Will Hardy told me when I talked to him last week. And Will wasn't saying this in the context of hey, here's my sales pitch for you to go out and get Lauri Markkanen. He's saying he works here because whatever system we play, he fits in. He doesn't need the ball.
Right.
And that, to me, is a perfect Piston. Right? Lauri Markkanen, his price tag's heavy, 5-year deal, $250 million. But at one point, he was averaging 30. At one point, he was the only guy in the league, along with 2 guys, him and Giannis, the 2 guys averaging 30 and 6. He's a 3-point shooter. He plays both front court positions. That guy makes a lot of sense. Makes sense in a lot of places.
I was going to say, but yes.
Detroit's got some draft capital. Maybe you deal a young guy like Jaden Ivey. You can do some things to get not to put the cart before the horse. Got months to go before the trade deadline, but that would be a guy I would look at hard if I was the Detroit Pistons.
And you're right, they have assets. So.
Yeah, they've got the deals to make. Well, everybody knows there are things they can do to reduce monthly costs and improve their finances, but who has time to go through all their expenses and decide what to trim? With Rocket Money crunching the numbers for you, leveling up your money game gets way easier. And many of you listening or watching this podcast have probably heard a lot of ad reads from people that do not use the product. That is not the case with this read and this host. I use Rocket Money all the time. It has saved me thousands of dollars in canceled subscriptions I never knew I was still subscribed to. that would have gone on billing me till the end of time. I use Rocket Money. It is an incredible tool, and you should too. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel all your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money shows you all your expenses in one place, including subscriptions you forgot about. If you see a subscription you no longer want, Rocket Money will help you cancel it. Rocket Money's 5 million members have saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, with members saving up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/openfloor today. That's rocketmoney.com/openfloor. All right, from the positive to the negative. Your Los Angeles Clippers, Rachel.
What, they're mine now?
Clippers.
We just discussed my Washington Wizards.
No. You have been adopted by the LA Clippers. You are a disciple of Ty Lue.
I do.
You are a Lawrence Frank acolyte. Yep. You are a believer in this Clippers team. We're taping this on Monday, so we don't know what happened.
Clippers team?
No, whatever. The Clippers in general.
Maybe not this Clippers team.
We're taping this before Monday's game against Atlanta, but going into this game, they lost 4 in a row, 5 of the last 6. Their defense stinks. Their defense is so bad. It is inexplicable how bad their defense is. How bad is it? Let me throw some numbers at you. Last year, they were 3rd in defensive rating. They were a defensive-minded team. This year, entering Monday's game, they are 26th. They're 26th in defensive rating. How does a team that returns most of its core go from 3rd to 26? Explain that to me.
2 things. First of all, Norm Powell.
We can get to Norm Powell. I thought they missed Norm Powell more offensively than defensively.
I just think
maybe
they miss him.
Maybe it was the mindset.
That's what I was going to say.
I think they have a great year in Miami too.
Exactly. I think they miss him a lot, all over the floor, in the locker room. I think that is not a small piece of it. Also, when you told me, you texted me, you said, "Oh, I want to talk about the Clippers too," and I said, "Great. I'll spend the next few hours coming up with synonyms for the word old." So I have elderly, mature, aged, long in the tooth. Unfortunately, when you get to the second row of synonyms, it says bygone, past. The Clippers have to hope that row doesn't
I always like
crop
spry.
up yet.
Have you ever heard like a young person described as spry?
No, it's always old people.
They're spry.
Yeah, but no one's describing the Clippers spry right now. Their pace is just, I mean, the game tips off in a few hours, and they might not get there for another 5 or 6. I mean, it has been really rough, and I think that is the other answer to your question, which is, yes, James Harden played, for him, actually pretty strong defense, passable for the rest of the league, but definitely some of the best defensive effort we have seen out of him. There is a point where you age past being able to do that. And I think when the collective is not pulling it together, when there is no Norm Powell to bark in your ear, when Bradley Beal has been, sadly, a turnstile for a lot of this season so far, when it collectively doesn't feel like you can make that much of a difference, history has said James Harden will not try to make that much of a difference. And you just have guys, Chris Paul is not what Chris Paul used to be.
Those numbers for Chris Paul,
I mean,
oh God, they're ugly.
You know the expression, play till the wheels fall off. Yeah. This may be it. And look, it's great. He gets to retire as a Clipper. But, Kawhi, as we sit here...
Are you surprised they've been that bad? Like, he wasn't terrible with the Spurs last year. He played every game.
Yes, I am surprised. I'm surprised with all of it. But I do think there is a collective wear and tear here. Each one of those guys in terms of their age, I think feeding off of each other. One guy's slow, the other guy's slow. Again, no one on this team, except for maybe Kawhi, can go out there and feel like I can make the difference because there are so many other pieces that are dragging the whole ship down, to use a Clippers analogy. And Kawhi is hurt again.
But he wasn't hurt before this. Like, he was playing in these games.
No, I know.
And they were still 26, 27 the defensive efficiency.
Do you think there is a collective drag on the organization, given all of the stuff that broke in training camp and sort of the Steve Ballmer and Kawhi of it all?
Very possible. I think personnel is a bigger issue. And what doesn't surprise me is that all of these sort of bargain basement signings haven't really worked because they almost never work. They're almost always great in a press release, great at media day, but then when it plays out, you start to realize why these guys were available. Like, Chris Paul was available because he's 40 years old and isn't the Chris Paul of old. Bradley Beal was available because there was only a couple of teams looking to sign him after being waived by Phoenix, and his numbers have been, Bradley Beal shooting 37.5% from three entering this game on Monday. Chris Paul at 24%.
Yeah.
That's bad. And this is where, like, you know, John Collins has been fine. I don't think he's a problem.
Yeah.
But they really believed, like when they did this deal to trade Powell, they're like, all right, we're going to get Bradley Beal too. They knew that. That was fait accompli. Like, we're going to get John Collins. It's going to take some pressure off Kawhi in that front court because he can play 4, sometimes 5. And we're going to get Bradley Beal, and he's going to give us like 75% of what Norman Powell gave us there. I mean, I do think they underestimated what Norman Powell brought to the locker room.
Yeah.
The swagger that he played with. You remember last year when he's like, you know, we don't need Paul George.
Right.
Like,
Paul George who, he said.
And we're going to be better defensively. You know what? He was right.
No, he said addition by subtraction.
I know.
That was a direct quote.
100%. And he was pointing the defensive end mostly. I think people were like, well, Paul George is a complete defensive player. He's a versatile guy.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we're good. And they were. He talked the talk and he walked the walk there. They miss him. He's been great in Miami so far this season. I just think they're really old. They're really old. They're not especially athletic. The older guys they got have looked even older than they did in previous years. They turn the ball over a lot, and when they turn it over, they give up points almost every time. They don't get back on transition defense. Wasn't that a big, like, those T-shirts that they were wearing? Remember, like, the whole, like, I think it was F-U-C-K. I think it was, like, remember that? They had, like that was transition. There was a whole,
that was
all
a
about
Jeff Van Gundy defense thing.
I'm actually shocked. Jeff Van Gundy, still a great defensive mind. This team being a Jeff Van Gundy team being this bad.
And Ty Lue.
Yeah.
They both have to be, like, tearing their hair out.
It's a good point. Like, do you believe that there's a lingering effect to the Kawhi Ballmer saga that's still kind of hanging over this team?
I just think it's a lot of things at once. And again, that's sort of my analogy for the whole team. You've got a lot of things going on at once. So it is very hard for anyone individually to be like, man, if I go out and kill it, it's going to be enough. And I think that translates into sort of the aspiration stuff and the Kawhi of it all and all of that. It just feels like there's so much dragging everybody down. I mean, this team really leans into its water analogies with the way they do the in-game video when they've got that big wave and they've got the thunderstorm. Yeah. They feel like they're drowning. I mean, and I'm not sure who's going to pick them up out. I mean, the contract with Kawhi that we've been talking about ad nauseum.
The aspiration contract?
It feels like.
Oh, no, not that. Okay. That's up.
The current contract. So they've got one more guaranteed year there, right? They've got one more year at 50, basically, 50.3 million. You know, when does this become a teardown? Do you start trying to get rid of pieces at the trade deadline? Does anyone want these pieces at the trade deadline? Do you just wait?
Oklahoma City has they have 2026 pick. Do they have this pick coming? I should have this information on hand, but Oklahoma City still got one of their picks moving forward.
I'm not even talking about tanking, although that's an element of it.
When you say tear down, I'm thinking, you know.
Well, I mean, eventually, sure, tanking, but I just almost mean there's a point where young players, hungry players, are going to give you more than some of these guys.
Well, we're at that point with Cam Christie.
Well,
like Cam Christie's a better fit than Chris Paul. Yeah, right.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, regardless of, yes, direction of the franchise, et cetera, tanking, whatever. But I even mean right now on this roster. And maybe you bring in some other young guys who at least are cheaper and are hungrier. Because you're just not getting that hunger. You're not getting that from any of these older guys on the team.
It's very uninspired, you know, how they're playing.
And I feel you're right. I am a Ty Lue devotee. I think he's one of the best X and O coaches in the league and one of the best motivators I've seen in the league. And if he can't do it, I'm not seeing it happen.
I just don't know what their options are at this point because they're not in a position because of what they owe draft-wise.
Right.
Just
I'm looking that up now.
thing. It's not going to. That doesn't help them rebuild in the future. It's concerning that they've been this mediocre with Kawhi Leonard playing in the majority of their games. It's concerning to see Bradley Beal and Chris Paul being unable to replace the production of Norman Powell.
Yep.
It's concerning to see a team with this many plus defenders. Like Chris Dunn is a plus defender. Kawhi Leonard, when he's playing, is a plus defender. Zubac is a plus defender.
Yep.
And they're sitting there at 26
right.
in the league. And a lot of that is, the whole transition defense stuff. Like they can't get back, but I don't know. I mean, I think the question is, it's both like, do they go that route and try to shake up the roster a little bit, or I mean, just what else can you do? Just kind of plow through and hope that this defense, which still has a lot of the same pieces, gets better over the course of a season.
Well, Dunn is back in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
I went to the Thunder Clippers game that was here. Was it maybe 3 or 4 games, 2 games ago, something like that.
Shay loves playing. They said that on the Netflix thing. Shay loves playing the Clippers.
I mean,
like that's a guy that doesn't get like I've been working on something with him.
Yeah,
that's a guy. Like, no, I don't even think like winning a championship was great, but even that it barely moves the. It just doesn't move the needle with him. Like his heart rate stays the same. Going to LA to play the Clippers, that's one of the things that picks up the heart rate.
Yes.
Like just knowing that they moved off of him, like and didn't believe him. I think that definitely sticks in the root of him. Yeah.
I mean, it's just how much this one trade has crippled this franchise. What year was that trade?
Oh God, now 2000. So Shay's first year was the bubble year, so 2019.
Mm-hmm. So 2026. I think they have a 2 from Memphis.
But they owe one more pick to Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma's got, whether it's a swap or a pick.
There's a swap that involves Brooklyn. I mean, it's like one of these, it's like a whole paragraph of swaps. And OKC has the right to swap 2027 first round pick.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the one that they still have, yeah.
And Philly still has the right to swap its 2029 first round pick.
Yeah. All is well in LA right now. All is going well. Look, they're old, they're unathletic. They thought they could squeeze more out of the Kawhi James Harden tandem. It doesn't look like it's going in that direction. Zubac is still good. He's young. It's one of the few young pieces you can still build around, but I just don't see how they turn this around. I don't see a team that I thought fully healthy they could contend and compete with the Clippers with the Nuggets and the Thunder in the West. I don't see that now.
I don't think. Did you really think they compete with the Thunder?
I think Kawhi's at his best is still one of the best playoff performers in the game.
Yeah, but
it's been a long time since he's been that.
And he's
years,
got to play. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think that the Lakers, I pegged the Lakers going into this season at to finish around number 4. I think
Clippers
that is
or Lakers?
The Lakers. I think that is higher than a lot of people had them. And who knows if they'll end up there, a little higher, a little lower. I still think watching this team, that's the right target mark. I thought the Clippers would end up being around number 6. I don't even think that's reachable anymore.
Yeah, play-in. I mean, they barely got out of the play-in last year. They needed a couple of big wins at the end of the year to get into that mix, and they might be right in that play-in mix again this year. All right, from bad to worse.
You could be going so many different directions here.
Your Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, my God.
I'm just going to call all the teams that are struggling.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Thank you for heaping all of these on me. I definitely feel for Dallas Mavericks fans.
You got to. 3-7, the Dallas Mavericks, as we tape this. Only the Pelicans have a worse record. Again, we're recording before their game on Monday night, a game that is being attended by the team governor, Patrick Dumont, which I believe is the first game he's attended since the opener of the season. So
I think since training camp. Was he even there?
I think he was at the opener. I think I saw
a
Tim McMahon tweet that said he was at the opener, which wouldn't surprise me. But first game there, and this comes amid, I would say, swirling rumors isn't enough of a metaphor there. I would say it's a hurricane of rumors, a tornado of rumors surrounding the future of Nico Harrison. Nico Harrison, of course, made the deal to trade Luka Doncic just about a year ago. I don't think it's not even been a year yet since they made the deal to trade Luka Doncic.
Crazy.
And everything that could go wrong has gone wrong since then. You've had Kyrie Irving suffer an ACL tear towards the end of last season. Anthony Davis is battling through injuries, mixed his 6th consecutive game on Monday night with a calf injury, which you know is terrifying for teams when you hear about that calf injury because you don't know what it could lead to. This team cannot get anything done offensively. Nothing. They are abysmal. Not the worst team in the league in offensive rating, but they are 29th in the league. And Indiana is worse because Indiana's lost everybody.
Yeah.
But the Mavericks are 29th as we tape this in offensive rating. And they are a full 2 points worse than your Washington Wizards.
They lost to the Wizards.
Ratings.
They lost to the Pelicans. You're like, oh, except for the Pelicans. They lost to the Pelicans. They lost to the Wizards. Those are some of their losses.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
barely beat them the other night. Like,
yes,
just barely. We're losing that game. Yeah.
Yes, and Russell was minus 18 in that game.
Yeah.
So,
oh God.
Right? You know what they need?
Can I just say one thing? Like, not to defend other podcasts, but Bill Simmons took some heat for. I think he called D'Angelo Russell like the guy you like coming over the party early and then you want him to leave. He's not wrong about that. Like D'Angelo Russell, like the anticipation of D'Angelo Russell and like the vibes from D'Angelo Russell, and maybe you look at like Basketball Reference for the numbers on D'Angelo Russell. You're like, all right, that guy, that if we can get him to be a stopgap guy for Kyrie Irving, we're gonna be okay. And then D'Angelo Russell comes out and just does what we've seen him do really every year for the last few years.
You can't have been paying attention and thought that was a good, strong, this will hold the tide while Kyrie is out move. You just can't. I mean, that might have been what the best available to them was, considering Nico spent so much capital building a team around Luka Doncic. To Luka's strengths. That was why they got to the NBA Finals. And look, we're going to talk about when is Nico going to get fired, because it really does seem to be a when instead of an if.
I feel just my reporting is it's day to day with Nico Harrison and Dallas. That's the messaging I've been getting from people either directly in the know or sort of in the know.
Here's the problem. Nico, who, first of all, had a very distinguished career in the NBA before he became general manager when he was at Nike, who had a very good beginning start with the Mavericks. When they got to the finals, it was because of a bunch of trades and contracts that people thought, this isn't going to work out so well, and they worked out. All of those bets paid off.
Daniel Gafford,
right?
PJ Washington, all those guys paid off.
Right? You talk about the guys around the margins. You say, it hasn't paid off anywhere for the Clippers. It paid off. All of those paid off for the Dallas Mavericks. So I'd like to say you don't want to judge anyone by their worst day or their worst decision. The problem is Nico's worst day and worst decision stemmed from what was in his interest not being in the best interests of the Mavericks. And every day since then has stemmed from what is in Nico's best interest as opposed to the Mavericks' best interest. Trading Luka Doncic was very clearly, to anyone, to someone who had been watching the game for 6 months, would know that is not in the Dallas Mavericks' best interest to trade a generational talent at 25 years old who had just led his team to the NBA Finals. Not in the Mavericks' best interest. But Nico was fed up. Nico thought, I got to get this guy out of my facility. He doesn't listen.
So he's still a wild thing to think after he went to the finals and didn't lose that series because of Luka Doncic.
Right? We all saw the video. He's drinking a beer when he shouldn't. I got to get a guy to take a beer out of his hands. All of that stuff.
He wouldn't have loved Larry Bird.
But that's my point. What bothered Nico, what made him call up the Lakers and say, have I got a deal for you, friend, was because in Nico's day-to-day frustration, best interest was to get rid of that guy. But that was in no way to the best interest of the Dallas Mavericks. And every day since has been what is in Nico's best interest. Because the minute Kyrie Irving got hurt, you and I had a discussion. I said to you, is this when you trade AD? And you said, first of all, you're crazy. And second of all, you said, well, Nico Harrison's never going to do it. And you were right. Because
on the second part, at least.
Of course, Nico Harrison was not going to go turn around and acknowledge failure about this thing that he had been so heavily criticized for. So that was another moment, a decision, a fork in the road, where Nico operated in Nico's interests as opposed to the Mavericks' interests. The reason why I asked you that the day after Kyrie got hurt was, okay, Kyrie's going to be out for 9 months to a year, whatever we call it, and he's injury prone and has a history. AD, we know, is injury prone and had a history, and sure enough, got injured pretty quickly after that and then came back too soon. Why did he come back too soon? He came back too soon to try to justify a trade that Nico had made that AD I mean, how do you think it felt to be Anthony Davis in the couple weeks after that trade? Not only feeling like the Lakers and possibly LeBron James, I don't know the answer to that, betrayed you, but then to have everyone around the league pay on the trade is possibly the worst trade of all time, and you're the guy they got back. So you're eager to prove, oh, Nico was right. You come back too early. You hurt yourself more. You've got to then turn around, if you're Nico Harrison, at that point last season and say, I can't win anymore. I need to cut my losses. But instead, he was operating in the best interest of, I can still win. I can still show everybody. And every day since that, every move since that, every scramble since that has been how Nico Harrison can either save face or try to make things better about the decision he made. And that is not what has been in the best interest of the Mavericks. So I am not rooting for anyone to get fired because it sucks getting fired. These guys have families. It's not okay the way we talk about it so casually. But the truth is, any personnel decision they make up until the trade deadline, it's not going to be in the best interest of the franchise unless Nico Harrison is not the one making those decisions.
I agree. There certainly are.
And they should still trade Anthony Davis.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. There certainly are mitigating factors if you want to make the case for keeping Nico. One of which is, where would this team be with a healthy Kyrie Irving? Like, they have no shot creation whatsoever. Like, they can't do anything. Like, they can't make plays on the offensive end of the floor. For a long time, they were dead last in offensive efficiency. Like, Kyrie himself makes them considerably better. Klay Thompson looks washed.
Another decision made.
Right. And look, and that was, there's a trickle-down effect from all that. Like, Klay Thompson was acquired with Luka Doncic on the roster.
Yes.
Like, Klay Thompson was brought in to play opposite Luka Doncic with no shot creators. Klay, like, the one thing that Klay can no longer do without question is play off the dribble. Like, he can't. The legs are gone. And that's infecting all other parts of his game. The numbers, 31% from the floor, 26% from three, got benched, which he's not going to be happy about. Because he went to Dallas in part because
they guaranteed him he would start.
You are a starter down here. So I'm not sure how that gets measurably better. But you've now got guys that are, were brought in to play with Luka. Luka's no longer there. And now your offense has completely malfunctioned.
But here's the thing about being someone in the front office. You don't have a crystal ball. You cannot tell the future. Some draft picks are going to pan out. Some, to your best ability, your best scouting, they're just not going to pan out. You can't predict necessarily what a 17, 18, 19-year-old is going to turn into. Not every guy you trade for is going to play every game. Some of them are going to end up with devastating injuries. But you have to, as someone in the front office, bake the odds. You have to have judgment over how is this most likely to work out. Klay Thompson, yes, he was acquired when Luka was still there, but you're acquiring a guy who Golden State, the franchise that has the most loyalty, the most built up, we'll give him another chance. You've earned it. You've earned our trust. You've earned it with Steve Kerr. They said this guy isn't a starter anymore.
To not the most absurd money either. Was it 3 years, like 50, something like that?
Yes.
Like, not like full max. We're not going to go that route. This was a small number, relatively speaking.
Yes. So when they say this guy isn't a starter anymore, this guy is not a franchise changer or a major star contributor anymore, however you want to phrase it, to take a bet on that guy at the tune of what? Is he making 30-something a year in Dallas?
Something like that.
Is not playing the odds. It's not making a good decision. Obviously, trading a 25-year-old generational superstar for Anthony Davis is now 32. Kyrie Irving is 33. They both have significant injury histories. If you laid out all the injuries, it would get you to the second page of a piece of paper. That is not playing the odds well. You cannot guarantee everything of how your team is going to turn out, but if you make decisions that are on the backside, on the wrong side of, this could go either way, over and over and over again, you are going to end up with a team that has, quote, bad luck. But is it really bad luck? Or is it just we didn't position ourselves very well? We were basically betting that everything was going to work out in a situation where we created that has a bunch of pieces where things do not work out all of the time. Nico sat there, that press conference he gave, what was it, in Cleveland?
Yeah.
On the road after Dallas when he finally talked after the Luka trade. And he said, we have a 3 or 4 year window. This is a championship team right now. And over the next year, you're going to see we have a 3 or 4 year window. They're in their second year of that window.
And this year is closed. Like this
Again, what's in Nico's interest? Yeah. His best case scenario is that this is now 2 years out of 3. If it was only a 3 year window and we're 2 years into it being a wash, it's a wash. And again, I just don't think you have someone at the helm who is making decisions in the best interests of the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think it's possible for him to. And to have a guy running your franchise who isn't making decisions in the best interest of the franchise, that's a problem. And to me, that's something, if I was the owner, I would make a decision on that sooner rather than later.
And where would this team be right now if they didn't have the glimmer of hope that is Cooper Flagg?
I mean, and that, by the way, is such dumb luck. I don't
Completely
know
dumb luck.
what was it, 1.4% chance
that.
they were going to get
than
him?
2, yeah.
I have heard people say, and I can't tell if it's just completely tongue-in-cheek or if there is some just, people get so mixed up on you tank for this, you don't for that, what are the odds for that, do you have this draft pick or not? There was never part of the plan of, oh, don't worry, we're trading Luka because we're getting the #1 overall draft pick in a generational draft. Mm-hmm. That was never part of it. It is only the dumbest of tiniest of luck that happened.
All right, let me just say 2 things that I've heard from people in Dallas about this Nico situation. One, among the reasons they believe that Patrick Dumont and ownership has to make a change is that they have lost the community. Like they've lost the fan base. And that matters generally speaking, but this is a team that's working on an arena deal here.
Yep.
Like they're trying to get something done for a new building. And you got to have goodwill with the community and with the fan base to get something like that done with local funding. Like you got to have that. And look, letting Nico go and replacing him is not going to replace all that, but at least it starts healing the wound a little bit because that, you're hearing like fire Nico on the road now from some Maps fans that are out there. One thing somebody suggested to me could be possible is if Nico Harrison gets let go, we could see Jason Kidd take that front office role.
That is fascinating to me.
Now, we know...
By the way, when you say someone suggested to me, you don't mean a Mavericks fan you
I don't
ran
mean
into
a
in the
Mavericks
third
fan,
row.
No. I mean
someone within the franchise.
Someone very connected to the situation. And it was interesting to me because...
Was it Jason Kidd? No, I'm not going to ask you that.
It was not Jason Kidd. But you know this from Jason's earlier time as a coach. Jason has always wanted to be the guy that shops for the groceries, to borrow the old Bill Parcells line. He has matured, to his credit, in recent years. I thought being humbled in Brooklyn and Milwaukee and then taking an assistant coaching job with the Lakers changed him some. But I think that still burns with inside him. If you let go of Nico Harrison, you can't elevate someone internally. Like it's further the poisonous tree. Yeah. Everyone is tainted in that front office by that trade. Whether or not they fought against it or not, doesn't really matter. You're all part of the same front office. Like Jason Kidd, his hands are clean in that. Like he's the coach. He did what he was told. He coaches the team. He loved Luka. He's part of his development in Dallas. So I could see a scenario where Jason Kidd begins running basketball operations. Jason Kidd's got a good eye for talent, has shown it over the years. And one thing Jason Kidd could do is he could start to repair all those relationships, start to repair the relationship with the community. I mean, he's got history, not just as a coach, of course, he's a player in Dallas, won a championship. Hey, maybe Jason Kidd can be the guy that brings Dirk Nowitzki back into the fold. How about getting Dirk back? How about having him no, he wouldn't go off Amazon Prime. Does a good job over at Amazon Prime. Shout out to Dirk and Amazon, doing a great job.
They are doing a great job.
But maybe not having him lob grenades at your team from a television set saying it's tough to watch. Maybe bring him back into the mix. Maybe mend some fences with Mark Cuban and, get him kind of back on board with the team plan. I think that Jason makes a lot of sense. And Jason is very good at relationships.
Oh, he is,
Jason
isn't he?
is outstanding at relationships. I'm sure on some level, Jason's got a relationship with Patrick Dumont.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that
of
ownership
course he
group
does.
That he has.
just got
I don't
a
know
new
what it is.
contract.
I'm not going to speak for Jason Kidd, but I'm sure he's got his own relationship. I could see a scenario. And look, if you're Jason, you like AD, you're AD's guy, but you're not tied to the guy. You're not tied to that deal. You could turn around and trade Anthony Davis. You could go out and get a young coach to build out that team. You could start fresh in ways that Nico Harrison cannot start fresh. I mean, you made the point of like doing things in the best interest of the team. Doubling down on this core is probably not in the best interest of the team. Rebuilding around Cooper Flagg is in the best interest of the team. Right now, it looks like.
I love this idea. I mean, the whole community aspect you just built out, I'm not going to repeat it, but it is exactly right. You are exactly right. And it is what the franchise needs. And Jason's not just has a good eye for talent, he's a good recruiter. I mean, he was instrumental in Kyrie coming to Dallas. So he understands how to talk to guys. You always hear guys in the locker room over there saying, well, you know, he was a Hall of Fame point guard, so I'm going to listen to him, that sort of thing. That doesn't change just because he's not on the bench anymore. So I think that asset will help him in the front office. And frankly, and by the way, I am a J. Kidd devotee the way I'm a Ty Lue devotee. I really am. I think
You're a devotee of a lot of coaches there.
You think I'm a devotee of 6 teams. I am not. But
Wizards, Clippers, we got 3 down.
Mavs. But no, I absolutely believe in him, and I think that he definitely has what it takes to at least try. And even if he's not the greatest front office man in the history of the world, he is not Red Auerbach, it doesn't matter. What matters is they need to turn a corner, and he can offer them something that even the ghost of Red Auerbach could not, which is all that community stuff that you just talked about and the goodwill and just getting the franchise to feel like, okay, we are on a direction where this could go somewhere good. I do still think they need to trade Anthony Davis. I mean, you lucked out to the luckiest of lucks getting Cooper Flagg. You just need to build around his timeline. Jason Kidd, the coach, doesn't want all those losses. And by the way, the Mavericks have their pick this year. This year, in what is considered the deepest draft that we've seen in a couple decades, they have their own pick. They do not have their own pick next year. So this is the time, man.
Pull the chute.
Pull the chute. Anthony Davis, he still has one of the reasons why I asked you about him last year is because at that point he had 2 years left on his deal. He now has 1.5 years left on his deal. If you wait until this offseason, where he's an expiring contract, you're just not getting much for him. And the Mavericks gave away so many assets, so much draft capital.
A lot of teams Anthony could help. We talked about Detroit, top of the podcast.
Right? So
Miami, San Antonio.
I don't think they're bringing him in San Antonio, but anyway.
A hell of a defensive front line. Imagine trying to score on the Spurs with Wemby and
I know.
God, that's
I don't think he's on their timeline, Chris.
not.
But look, I think there are teams that he could help that would still give them back some of those assets that Nico traded away to build the team around Luka. Because you need those.
Yep.
Because frankly, they don't have much in the cupboard to build around Cooper Flagg. And they need to use whatever they can to get some of that back, and that is Anthony Davis. And again, Nico's not going to do that. He's just not going to trade AD. He can't. So you have to have someone running the franchise who is working in the best interest of the franchise. And it's unbelievable to say that sentence because it should be obvious, but it is not what is going on in Dallas right now.
Yeah, I agree. All right, before we go, you brought to my attention a story from Jason Quick at The Athletic, did a deep dive on Spencer Haywood, who's got a bit of an axe to grind when it comes to the NBA and something they didn't do. So lay it out for me. Like, what does Spencer Haywood want, and why are you so in his corner on this one? You are a Spencer Haywood devotee on this one. Let's just call this one the
Chris,
Rachel
I like
Nichols
people.
Devotees podcast.
Chris, I like people, which makes me a good foil to you, really.
Yes, I'm just very dismissive.
Look, Spencer Haywood, a legend in every way. One of the things, in addition to one of the exceptional basketball careers, is that he sued to allow underclassmen to enter the NBA draft. That you would not have all of these guys who entered the league early in some cases, right out of high school, and in some cases in their second year, being able to enter the draft. And that is, as he pointed out in this article with Jason, every single big name that you know in the NBA today has benefited from his legacy, from his actions, from him taking the risk. And that was a brave thing to do in a time where if you were branded a troublemaker, that could have been it for you, right? He could have not had a career in the NBA. And by the way, Jason's not the first one to write about this. Spencer has been talking about this for a while, but I was sort of, when I read the article, which was very well done, it just brought it back to the fore. He would like his legacy to be cemented with naming this rule the Spencer Haywood rule. The same way we informally or formally have the Oscar Robertson rule. We have so many. I wrote down a bunch of them, right? So we have the Oscar Robertson rule. We have the Trent Tucker rule. We have Larry Bird rights, right? We have names for a bunch of these things.
Even for the negative ones. Ted
right?
Stepien, the Stepien rule.
The Stepien rule.
Can't
right?
make trade draft picks consecutive years.
Right? He wants this to be the Spencer Haywood rule. And he wants people to know what he did for a few reasons. One, because it was a really big deal, and he deserves to get that credit. It was a hard thing to do, and he did it. At a time, by the way, where, a black college player was not getting the benefit of the doubt in the U.S. court system. And then also to build on that idea, he talked a lot in this article, and he has talked in other public forums. He is the son of a sharecropper. He grew up in the deep, deep South in a place and a time where there was just no way of getting out. And the fact that he came from there to accomplish this, not just on the court as a player and what he could do with his body, but what he did with his mind and all of the things that people would not give him credit for in the system he was born into. That is part of the reason why it is important to him. And that really just speaks to me. I get that. And I get why he wants to not be sort of wiped off the face of NBA history when sadly there's going to be a point, you open the show talking about Lenny, there's going to be a point where we say, oh, Spencer Haywood passed away and that to be the end of it. He doesn't want that. And I understand that. And the NBA apparently has said to him, look, these aren't formal designations. We don't name rules after people, the Oscar Robertson rule, the Larry Bird rights. I guess they're not in the formal rule book. I trust the NBA. I believe them when they say that. But
like NBA officials call it that, though. Like that, I hear bird rights all the time.
All the time, right?
Teams.
It is what
the Stepien rule. I think that is the is the Stepien rule not like that's what's often.
The Stepien rule is that you can't throw away all your draft picks in consecutive years,
yeah.
right? Named after Cleveland's Ted Stepien.
This feels like one of those things, like, just do it, NBA. Like, what is the downside? Like, what? This is one of those, like, slam dunks, right? to borrow a metaphor from the sport.
100%.
Just do it.
And look, maybe again, I trust people at the NBA talking about this because, yes, it is such a slam dunk. Why wouldn't they do it? Yeah. So if they tell me it's actually not in the rule book, that it's called bird rights.
I think it is codified. I could be wrong
CBA
about this.
Somewhere, maybe?
I think so. I feel like there's a reference to, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you.
But here's the thing, and this is why I wanted to bring it up on the pod, because I do think the NBA should do this, whether it is part of what they traditionally do or not. This is someone who made a great contribution coming from a place that is all that they celebrate, the opportunity that the NBA gives people. Also, it is up to us. If we are the ones who made Larry Bird rights a thing, us in the media, if the fans are the ones who talk about the Oscar Robertson rule, like we collectively, the media, the fans, executives, players, we need to start calling it the Spencer Haywood rule.
Yeah.
And then if it's official or not, I hope it becomes it because he says this is the last thing he wants to see before he dies. But regardless, we all can do that. And it's almost I would like to.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. It's almost like bird rights comes up because it's part of any conversation about, all right, so this team can sign him back. Yeah, they got his bird rights. I guess you'd have to start saying this guy's like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how you would say it as a media member. Like, this guy is he's going to exercise the Haywood rule and enter the draft. Is that kind of it? I mean, it's not as fluid as saying bird rights.
In the language. Like you could. Also, look, every so many years, the age limit thing comes up.
Yeah.
And you can talk about it that way, even if it's just every few years. I mean, I personally think that the NBA should be increasing the age limit by a year now that we have NIL, as opposed to, oh, should we put it back at high school level?
Maybe
I
NBA
think it
agrees
should
with you.
be,
Yeah.
yes. So, I mean, in all of those conversations, you could talk about Spencer Haywood. And I do think that, frankly, the players, I mean, that was his point in this article, the players who benefited from it, the LeBron, the KD, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they don't talk about it. And maybe they should talk about him a little bit more. We can, at least.
I feel like as we go out of this podcast, Shelby, our producer, could you play "You Got a Friend in Me"? For
Yeah,
Rachel?
there we go.
Because Rachel's just friendly with everybody this episode.
Because-
This is the Friends of Rachel Nichols show. So let's fade out with "You Got a Friend in Me" because Rachel, that is the theme of this podcast.
The next time, the next episode, we'll have the curmudgeon song. We'll figure out what that is.
Grinch.
Hit
The
it,
Grinch.
Shelby. Hit it.